And I'm joined this week by Jay Caruso. Jay, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Jim. Appreciate it.
So, Jay, you've written a piece in this issue of the magazine looking at the direction of the Democratic Party. And we hear all of these prominent columnists and policy wonks talking about the abundance agenda and how the Democrats can become more pro growth and things of that nature. But that doesn't really seem to be the direction the party is headed in, is it?
Unfortunately, no. I haven't read the book, but I've read enough about it. Understand the abundance agenda, tearing down regulations, and to have more growth, not in the private sector, mind you, but to allow the government to more freely build and grow. Unfortunately, you have a situation where the Democratic Party it's been a slow creep, but the progressive wing of the Democratic Party is slowly but surely kind of concentrating more power within the party and kind of leading away from something like that, like the abundance agenda. They much rather have
Good
what
evening,
you kind
everyone,
of
and
see
welcome to
with
this New York City.
Mamdani in New York City, who's probably going to be the mayor. I mean, this is a guy who says we're going to have government-run grocery stores, we're going to have universal child care. Now, I mean, he's winning in New York. It's not like it's a bright red town, but they have elected Republicans in the past, and everyone thought maybe after the de Blasio debacle that this wouldn't happen again. And now they're going even further to the left, which is then going to, regardless of the fact that it's just a city mayoral race, it's going to kind of embolden progressives to say that this is something that we could do on a much larger scale.
Right. You have to figure, given that the Democratic Party looks a little directionless, they might be leaderless at the moment because they're shut out of power in Washington, D.C., that if Zohran Mamdani wins, as he's expected to, that other Democrats are going to look to him, number one, as a leader in his own right, but number two, as maybe an example they can follow in other races.
Oh, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, Donnie's run a terrific campaign. He's a very affable guy. He doesn't look like some wild-eyed conspiracy theorist.
Great message
And
discipline.
he's what he says at times even sounds reasonable if you're just the average person. And so there's a good possibility that his model will be something that they'll go for instead of the usual Bernie Sanders yelling about millionaires and billionaires. Beyond that, but it's a question of whether or not they can bring that outside of like the deepest blue cities in the United States.
How much of this is a reaction to the populist shift of the Republican Party?
Well, that's the amazing thing. You have Republicans over there ever since the era of Donald Trump, a lot of times co-opting the economic policies of what was typically Democratic turf, tariffs, Trump taking positions in private companies, Josh Hawley and other Republicans pushing for things like credit card interest rate caps. These are all kinds of things Republicans never would have dreamed of doing just 15 years ago, but now it's completely different. And Democrats think, okay, well, we've lost some of that working class voter uh, edge to the Republicans, and we have to do something about that. We have to kind of bring those voters back if we can.
And yet, you don't see very many examples of the populists in both parties working very closely together. I mean, certainly they co sponsor some legislation together sometimes, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of affection between these two factions.
No. No, and there's still a giant chasm between both of the parties. There may be some crossover with economic populism, but when it comes to other issues, particularly, the cultural issues, that's where I think Democrats are kind of falling into a trap by kind of taking on and sticking with those cultural issues that just are not that popular in the United States.
Those 80-20 issues that people often talk about.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing. It's like what I said in the article was, all the issues about trans rights. I mean, it's a gimme for Democrats to sit there. And it's not like they have to abandon the position entirely, but the whole idea of going all in the way they do, that is one of those issues where the majority of Americans, including the majority of Democrats, are not on their side. And that's where they can have some trouble. And it doesn't necessarily mean that those voters who might otherwise vote for them are going to run and vote for a Republican, but they might just sit there and say, I like what he has to say about the economy, but this other stuff, I'm just going to sit this one out. And that could prove to be, very detrimental to the Democratic Party, especially as we're coming up on the midterms.
Thank you, Jay. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can read Jay's full story by clicking here on our digital magazine.